Jacob.
I'm Yuri.
Going for a drive.
'21 Mini John Cooper Works.
GP with launch control.
Ooh. Yeah, it's aggressive. Horsepower and torque.
Torque, steer, and horsepower. 301 horsepower, 331 pound-feet of torque from a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. And my God, the torque steer off that launch. Holy crap, I thought we were gonna break an axle.
So Black Friday is coming up, so the best thing you can buy is subscribing to our channel for free.
Oh, that's a solid deal.
I literally don't know what else to say to get people to subscribe.
Normally I hate torque steer, but this car is just so different and so special that I actually enjoy the torque steer.
It's the sketchiest front-wheel drive car ever because they added so much power and didn't decide to like tune out the torque steer like the Civic Type R did. They're like, you know what? We can't put a manual in it, and we're not going to change the steering, so good luck.
Yeah, and this couldn't be manual with the amount of torque steer this has. So if you do get a good launch, you can do 0 to 100 kilometers in 5.2 seconds, which is very good for a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah, and I guess this is a hot hatch, so it would be a perfect hot hatch competitor in this form for that initial video we did with the Civic Type R, the STI, and the Focus RS.
Yes, and it does have a big wing, so it would be in the big wing gang.
Golf R still not applicable for that 4-year-old video that started our whole YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have an 8-speed auto, and it responds very well, like downshift third, floor it, and there is so much torque, and my God, this is quick.
But the thing that sucks about this transmission is when you bang it off the limiter, it like softens it up. Like you don't know if you have to shift or if that's part of it.
Yeah, the red line is a little bit weird, so I actually just shift at the first race flag indicator.
Hit me with the red line real quick.
Okay. It was really soft into it. It was weird.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting a kind of like the LC500 did.
Yeah, that's a V8 thing. And I might as well address something since people are already looking at us in here. There's no back seats, so you can just see our bags back there. So in case you're wondering what that is, those are our bags.
And they got red seatbelts, but us two dummies decided to wear red shirts without planning anything out today, so you can't see them. Kind of look crazy wearing red shirts. Look like a Cat in the Hat or whatever. Dr. Seuss thing. You know, there's those little red guys with the numbers on them.
I don't know, man. So let's send this Mini GP into cliche corner, and holy crap, this handles extremely well. And it feels amazing for a front-wheel drive car, and I mean, it puts down the power extremely well, but the thing is, you can make this lift-off oversteer like crazy if you wanted to.
Yeah, it does lift off oversteer like so easily.
Like way too easily, but in a good way, because like you said earlier, the sketchiness, that's all a good thing in this car. So I had the chance to drive this on the racetrack. Shout out BMW Mini for inviting me out to that, because I actually got to experience what you're supposed to do in this car. This is pretty much a full-out track car that I really don't think belongs on the road. It is fully road legal, but it's just not an enjoyable experience until you get it on the racetrack, because this suspension is so goddamn stiff and it's not adaptive in any way, so you have to deal with it.
Yeah, and I couldn't make it out to that event because I already RSVP'd to a Mercedes pumpkin patch picking event with my wife. And #1 rule of automotive journalism is once you say yes, you don't bail.
So since I was by myself at the track, I took that as an opportunity to be a real automotive journalist. So I did my first walking stand-up. As a professional automotive journalist, you'd probably assume that I've done this walk and talk numerous times. However, this is definitely the first time I've ever done this. So the only thing on my mind is how fast I should walk and where I should land when I make my final statement. So today, I'm here in Bowmanville, Ontario to test out all these cars on the racetrack and put the pedal, zoom in on my face, to the metal.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Funnier than I thought it'd be. I've never actually done one myself.
Thank you. Everyone assumes I'm a professional at it, so.
I'm against walking and standing around a car because that's what everybody else does.
So that's why I did it that way. Anyways, how this actually felt on the track was incredible. The instructor was in a Mini JCW, and I actually got out of a Mini JCW that was manual, and this felt so much better. I was able to keep up with the instructor, no problem. I was on his butt the whole freaking time. It did a bunch of things that I didn't think it was capable of, and I came away with the biggest smile on my face and driving it on the road I still have the biggest smile on my face. I actually love this car.
And wait, one of my rants with these events that we go on, usually they have the lead car driving in a car that's slower than the rest of the cars, so that, like, I guess people don't drive more aggressively than they can or faster than they can. And that kind of ruins the racing line and a lot of the experience.
Yeah, but it was so good for BMW Mini to invite me out to the track day because I was able to experience what this car can do, and not enough manufacturers do that. And because some of these cars, they really need to be experienced on the track to be appreciated, I hope more manufacturers start to do that.
Yeah, and send out the RSVP date a little earlier so I can come too, please.
So back to how this is on the road. It's the fastest and most powerful Mini ever made, and it really feels like that. You have to have both hands on the wheel at all times. And we don't have any drive modes in here. We only have GP mode, which is only for the actual traction control. But when you press that button, it says GP mode activated, and it says later intervention of suspension control systems. I think they actually messed up the text in the system because this doesn't have adaptive suspension, but that's the same button that you would use in a regular Mini or a JCW with adaptive suspension. So I think they got it wrong in here.
Journalist.
Yeah, I know.
10 out of 10.
Probably the first person to ever point that out on the planet.
Yeah, so all the YouTubers are breaking all the news now. First speed records, then this button.
That is true. Shout out Shmi and the gang. But what it does is basically put the traction and stability into like a sport mode. They just call it GP mode, which makes sense, and it just makes it more fun. So let's get you into the driver's seat because we got a lot to talk about with the looks in this interior.
I'm going to avoid launch control so we don't get those chirps.
Try it. So much torque.
Just that torque steer is insane. It's like so sketchy, but it's so good.
It's hilarious.
All right, for a little boot into Cliche Corner.
We'll lift off oversteer a little bit.
Well, haven't lifted off yet. Very fast, a lot of torque. So you floor it a little too much and you're just getting pushed out. And if you let off early, lift off oversteer. It's exactly what I expect out of this car.
And it does have a mechanical limited slip differential in the front. And the funniest thing that I notice as a passenger is this red color from the center stack, because every time you floor it, it goes all the way up the right. And when you hit the brakes, all the way down the left. It's really distracting, but it's kind of cool.
Cool gimmicks. And I did accidentally turn on the radio while steering because the radio button sticks out so much, the palm of my hand turned up the volume. I feel like this Mini GP feels exactly like a perfectly set up car in Gran Turismo Sport would feel like.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? Like, you know when you're like fully in the zone, racing with your boys? This is what that feels like, but in real life.
The most fun version on like super soft tires, racing super softs.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so let's get to the looks.
Okay, it looks kind of weird, but also really cool.
The first weird thing is we've got these fender flares that aren't really fender flares, but are also fender flares.
Yeah, so they do have some aerodynamic purposes. It also allows you to run slightly wider wheels, and they are carbon fiber, and the carbon fiber material is actually recycled from BMW i3s and i8s, which is kind of cool.
And it looks like they only come in one color, which kind of sucks because the fender flares don't really pop off that much.
Yeah, and then we do have an individual number for each one because these are limited production, 3,000 around the world, only 59 in Canada, this being one of them. So this is 2870. And you also get that in the interior, which is really cool.
And then moving on to the front, we do have a really cool aggressive front end with a lot of red lines on it.
Yeah, and we do have a hood scoop, which is fake, unfortunately, but it just kind of adds to the front end, so it looks cool.
And it does say GP under the hood, which is nice. And to me, it kind of looks like a Magikarp from the front.
What's a Magikarp?
It's a Pokemon.
Oh.
Turns into Gyarados later.
I've never played Pokemon.
You're missing out, man. So you don't have any Pokemon cards either?
Not once in my life. So then moving around to the side, I really like these wheels. They're kind of a weird four-spoke design, but they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool. We got the John Cooper Works brake calipers back there.
And in the front, and they are huge, and they work very well on the road and on the track.
Should I do it? You want to make you feel sick yet?
Oh God, I already feel sick.
Okay.
This is the one car that's ever made me feel sick on the track and on the road.
Yeah, there's something about this that makes me a little nauseous. But
the
like,
suspension is so stiff.
Maybe it's because we're not driving with the windows down.
Oh man, I drove this on the 407 for like half an hour. I literally thought I was going to throw up when I was done.
Okay.
But it belongs on the track.
Okay, back to the looks. What is the Continental recommended tire for the Mini GP?
The Extreme Contact Sport.
And then I guess the other most glaring feature is we got a huge wing on this thing finally.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It's firmly bolted in place, unlike on the Mercedes A35 where it flopped around.
Yeah, we got a lot of red on the inside of it, and it's got a cool split as well. to make room for the antenna when you open it.
Yeah, which is hilarious because I wonder if that reduces the aerodynamic principles just for the antenna.
I mean, I'm sure they could have moved the antenna and not had that been an issue, but
I don't know.
I think they just wanted to like make some cool design stuff, and they're like, it'll be the same.
I feel like because of how limited this is, they probably couldn't have moved it. And they're just like, I'm gonna make the wing like this because I have no choice.
Hit me up on LinkedIn if you're the engineer and you made that decision. You're a tertian. So now moving on to the back, do we have some sick, nasty sounding exhaust or what?
Yeah, we definitely don't. Let's take a listen to the outside.
No crackles, no pops. Remember that JCW we drove earlier, like near the beginning of the channel?
Yeah.
Now that was some good stuff. This,
Thanks Europe, your regulations.
Is this a Europe one too?
Of course it is.
Dag nabbit.
It's Mini. We do have a special exhaust on the GP, but it just sounds like air.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. And I feel like when you floor, you get pumped in audio, so let's...
Lots of pumped in.
And there's no way that I know of turning it off. And to show the sad state of the world right now for cars, we are using exhaust. That's what we call it when we record the pumped in audio to go with the driving shots instead of the exhaust.
Because the exhaust sounded so bad, it literally just sounded like air.
I know. It's a sad year.
It's
just gonna get worse.
Man. And the exhaust itself looks really cool, very real, and we got some really cool Union Jack taillights.
Yes, first Mini Cooper that we've had that has those, even though it's been out for like 3 years.
Yes.
Overall looks wise, probably the best looking Mini.
Yeah, it's so silly. It's also really gross looking with these side things, but it's also so cool.
But I also really love the looks of just a plain Mini. Like
a
red Mini with no body kit or anything, I think is just as cool as this, but in a different way.
I think this would look a lot cooler without these stupid side things, but they're also part of the experience.
No, you can't. Those side things are the coolest. But you were pointing out that they get filled up with rocks and salt and stuff.
They're filled with rocks.
They're so cool.
They're cool, but ugly.
I'd love to see this in red so that those side fenders really pop.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the interior, same old Mini Cooper interior besides that 3D printed numbered thing on the dash.
Yeah, it looks really cool, very unique.
And then we've got a digital dash in the middle instead of that tack that moves with everything. And it's matte because there's no cover on it. It shows you your tack on the left, but you know, if you go too far anyway, they're gonna go and suck.
Yeah, but at least it doesn't automatically upshift, so you complain about that.
Okay, let me go one more time.
It just holds it.
Yeah, I wish it just like stopped it quicker, so I'm like, yeah, that's where I gotta shift.
But the tack does look cool, and it does move with the steering column. We have the exact same infotainment that we have in every other Mini. We do have Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto.
And now let's check the visor.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Total
no,
fail.
and then there's no side visor for me.
That's a weight reduction thing.
I approve. And then the cups, it does have 2 cups. It will fit a small cup just fine.
And then we do have a hidden wireless charger in this tiny little console.
Yeah, and then you can move this up so that you have perfect access to shift Ken Block style, even though you shouldn't because the torque steer is so scary.
Yeah, 100%. Keep both hands on the wheel in this. And the special GP-ness in here, we do have a center marker. Yeah. Oh.
GP-ness. That's okay. That's a real word. Okay.
All right,
what do we have? What do you say we have?
Okay, so for the GP-ness, we do have a center marker on the steering wheel, and it does look really cool because it matches the paddles, which say GP on them, and the paddles are metal and they are 3D printed.
Yeah, they look really cool.
Yeah, more GP-ness. We do have GP written on the seat right here, which is really cool. And the seats are also really comfortable.
For GP-ness.
Yes. And then we also have this big red metal bar behind us, which also says GP in the back, which is really cool. So a lot of GP-ness going on in here.
Big red metal GP-ness?
Yeah. And since we don't have any back seats back there, what about the box test? Box test!
Okay, we couldn't fit these boxes in the Mini GP, but what we could fit was 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your own box at patreon.com/TheStraightPipes. All right, so I guess that's pretty much everything with the JCW GP. Let's get to the price.
It's a lot of money, but there is only one price, $51,990.
Canadian.
And I think because of how unique this is, the fact that they're only making $59 for Canada, that's a pretty good price, but it's definitely way more than every other hot hatch that is comparable to this, like the Civic Type R and the Veloster N.
Yeah, and the Veloster N is gonna have a DCT version coming up, which will be more comparable with this, where like a Focus ST doesn't have an automatic and neither does a Civic Type R.
And a Focus ST doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that part too.
Yeah.
And I think making this a limited edition is so smart because if this was not limited edition, buying this as just like a top trim would be so painful. People wouldn't realize how bumpy this thing would actually be while driving.
Yeah, they made a regular good daily driver into a much worse daily driver by making it more into a track car, which makes it a way cooler car. So I think they did the right thing.
Yeah, 100%. So let us know what you think of the Mini GP. Is it better than the Veloster DCT? Is it better than the Civic Type R? That's what I really want to know from you guys.
So watch some of our other videos, including the Veloster N and the Civic Type R, and hopefully the upcoming Veloster N DCT.
And maybe some older minis.
Yeah.
Are you making a playlist for this?
I guess. And put the pedal to the metal.